Welcome. Thanks, everybody, of course, for coming out to the Harrison Brinker Show, episode 4 of the Harrison Brinker Show. You up there, you, sir. What's your name? Freddie? Well, are you ready, Freddie? Freddie's ready. Well, Freddie, I got a question for you. You read the news? Did you see this Hunter Biden's gun charge case? His lawyer wanted to try to push it back, pleaded with the judge to get it pushed back, and the judge said, no, we're doing it just when we plan to do it on June 3rd, because we need to crack down on illegal guns no matter who we're prosecuting. Hunter Biden said, you had me at crack. All right, everybody, it's going to be a good one for you. I'm going to talk about how I have no use in my left foot. Then I complain about hiking. Then I complain about my insurance constantly calling me. But we're going to wrap it up nicely with an interview with my friend Cole. So stick around. It's going to be fun. Let's get right into it. Hello, morons. Hope all is well in your lives. Welcome to episode 4 of the Harrison Brinker Show with Harrison Brinker. I'm your host. And let's get right into it. I usually, as always, start out with just a crap story, just about generally what's going on in my life. Yesterday at work, at an unnamed company I work for that's one of the leading private companies that sends mail to people, I was walking, unloading a trailer, using a pallet jack to grab a pallet, and, pulling stuff out of the trucks, taking those boxes, putting them on the conveyor belt. And I was walking and stepped onto a broken pallet with a nail sticking straight up in the air from that broken piece of wood, and it just went right into my foot. Went right through my shoe, right up into my foot. It actually didn't hurt too bad right at the beginning. I don't know why. Whether that's adrenaline or shock or whatever. By the way, these glasses are fake. But I thought they went with the suspender look. I don't know if it was adrenaline or what. But it didn't hurt too bad right in the beginning. But now it's been a day and it kills. It's a big hole in the bottom of my foot. It luckily didn't go the whole way through my foot. It just went into halfway through my foot. I mean, I could certainly feel when it happened. I knew right away. I was like, no way I just did that. It was kind of embarrassing too, because then I had to go up to my boss and be like, excuse me, I don't know what you're doing right now, but stop, because I just walked on a nail and went through my foot. What do I do now? So yeah, it's just getting more and more inflamed, swollen. I'm on antibiotics. I had to go to the ER, which I wouldn't necessarily have taken myself. Sorry, there's a big bus outside interrupting the conversation. If I had done this sort of thing at home, I don't think I would go to the emergency room like the hospital. I would have just gone to the urgent care or whatever. I don't know what the difference is, by the way. It's like there's doctor's office, then there's urgent care, then there's the ER. Is that different than the hospital? Like, I don't know. I don't know what any of it means. Is there any, what's the ranking of, concern that I should, whatever. But anyway, I had to talk to like a person in charge of my company's workers' comp, and they have to decide where you can go, and blah, blah, blah. That's where they sent me, was the ER. So whatever. I was kind of awkward because I walk in there, and the only other people in there are like a family who's concerned, I guess. From what I could put together in my head, it was like a mother and a father going like, how's her CT scan going, and da-da-da, talking to people on the phone, and family members coming in and out and talking to this couple. So I'm assuming they have like a young daughter, got in an accident, something happened where they have to scan her head. And then I walk in go with a limp, and I'm going, everybody out of the way. I need a doctor here, god damn it. I have a nail in my foot. And they're just like, our daughter's on the verge of death. And I go, well, just because she's in more pain than me doesn't mean I shouldn't be seen by a doctor. I felt kind of awkward doing that. But whatever. So that's what's going on with me. My foot is disgusting. It's not like leaking pus or anything. I mean, I'm got bandages on it and had to get a tetanus shot, and then I'm on antibiotics, like I said, so it should be fine. But it's freaking sore. It's hard to shower. It's hard to stand. Luckily, I'm sitting in a chair. If you didn't know that, I'm not at a standing desk with a hunch. But that's what's going on with me. I stepped on a nail. And I realized later, like, how easy it was for it to go right into my foot, like through my shoe. It's like that, you know how people say, like, you could bite your finger off as easy as you could bite a baby carrot, but your brain just tells you not to. And you test it out and you're like, oh yeah, I don't know. But like, stepping on a nail, if you notice that there's a nail under your foot and you kind of like hesitate, like, oh, I'll just rest it on there just to see what it would feel like if I had something pointing on my foot, and you're just thinking like, oh, I would have to push really hard for that nail to go the whole way through. It's like, no, your brain's just telling you, don't push any harder. That nail's going to go through your foot. But when you're just walking, and you're walking like you've done for 23 years in my case without any probably 22, maybe 21 and a half years of walking, and you're walking like you've always been, and you don't even think what's underneath you because there's never been anything underneath you, and you walk on a nail sticking straight up, it's like nothing. There was no resistance at all. I was wearing a Chuck Taylor piece of shit shoe, pardon my French, but they cost me I was going to say arm and a leg, but it was just a leg, just my left leg. It went like a hot knife through butter, just no resistance at all, just into my foot. And I just picked my foot up off of it and was like walking around looking for the manager. Like, oh, great. I've bumped myself on the head and bonked my noggin and stubbed my toe or whatever. I'm not going to file on it. Although you're supposed to, for the sake of just keeping this stuff going. Sorry, I'm feeling very crass today. I don't know why. For the sake of just keeping the operation going to work, yada, 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 let's just keep this wheel moving. I'm not going to go, oh, boss, I bumped my elbow, my funny bone, it's tingling. Quick, injury report. Get the papers. But this time with a rusty nail in your foot, I'm like, well, I'm going to go to the doctor. And it did happen at work. So pay up, company. And that's where we are. But that happened yesterday. I haven't gone back to work. I work tonight. I'll work probably 30 minutes after I finish filming this episode. So you'll have to wait till next week if anything crazy happens. But I hadn't been to the doctor by myself. And, I haven't been to the doctor ever other than just regular checkups. So this was the first time of like walking up to especially like a hospital. I've never been to a hospital. So it's like, if you can imagine from what I just told you. Yeah. Going up to the desk and then being like, I stabbed myself at work. Here's the workers' comp stuff. That's what they gave me at work. I hope that's enough. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, God. I thought I was not recording for a moment. I apologize. I don't know. So it was just a lot of like, am I doing this right? And then I went into the emergency room, whatever, the actual room itself, and had one of those stupid thoughts. Like, you ever have stupid thoughts? Like mine, the one I always remember is thinking about if cartoon characters are married in real life, which is like one of the stupidest thoughts I've ever had in my life. Because at least if it was like, hey, I'm watching Malcolm in the Middle, you go, I wonder if Jane Charismack, or whatever her last name is, and Bryan Cranston are friends in real life. Like, that kind of makes sense. If you're a kid, like, oh, are they like that off stage? Oh, no, they're not really married. They're just acting. But then a cartoon character, you're like, oh, I wonder what Fred Flintstone and Wilma do behind the scenes. It's like, they don't do anything because they're not alive. They're just paintings. They're drawings on a piece of plastic. You idiot. Anyway, so I had one of those. I'll tell you another one. One time, because, sometimes for Christmas, you'll see a movie or whatever, people will wrap their gifts in newspaper. I was thinking, like, what else is around the house that you could wrap your gifts in? And I thought, oh, what about aluminum foil? And then that made me think, oh, what about saran wrap? And I think you'd have to be an idiot to wrap gifts in saran wrap. Anyway, so I had one of those at the doctor where I walked into the room and the lady's like, okay, sit down on the bed here. It's actually a scale. And she pointed to the edge of the bed, like off of the actual hospital bed. She pointed to the edge of it, and I thought I saw a shape of something that I thought was a scale. So I'm thinking like, oh, this is perfect. I hurt my foot. So she wants me to sit off the edge of the bed with my foot on this device, and it's going to weigh my foot because I hurt my foot. And I guess that's what they do here at the hospital. They weigh the part of your body that was injured. And I don't know what they do with that information later, but for right now, we just have to get the weight of my foot. We'll do a before, and maybe after they fix me up, they'll do an after, and then see how much they changed. So I sat down on the bed with my legs sticking out off the edge, and she's like, your legs are sticking off a little bit. And I'm just thinking like, yeah, duh, you need to weigh it. But I was like, oh, sorry, and then didn't move. And then she's like, you're going to need to scoot back. I was like, oh, so then it all came rushing back like, oh, wait, the bed is the scale, you idiot. They're just trying to get your regular weight. They don't want to know how much your foot weighs. So that was idiotic. And then I kind of was just like, oh, well, I guess, it's a scale. That would make sense. Which I just said to be nice. Because in reality, I'm like, what's it matter if my feet are hanging off? It's not like it's not like if I'm leaning on this desk and then I lean off the desk. I guess you can't see with the camera. But like if I'm leaning my hands off of the desk, oh, now I lost 10 pounds. I still weigh just as much. Stand on your desk or lay on it. You're distributing the weight differently, but you weigh just as much. Anyway, please. And maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a doctor. They are. But whatever. It still was like, well, all right, let's just move this along. You need my weight? The same reason it would be stupid for me to say, oh, you're weighing my foot. And people would hear that and go, why would they weigh your foot, idiot? Why do you need to know my weight? You're not cutting me open. It'd be different if it's like, oh, geez, we're about to give this guy a gastric bypass. Like, let's see what we're working with here. But it's just like, oh, your foot hurts? Okay, first of all, how tall are you? I'm like, huh? Who cares? Whatever. Maybe it's something with a medication. I don't know. Maybe it is something. Maybe it's something with medication. That makes sense. I should be a doctor. Anyway, and then I was going to make a joke after I was like laying on the bed, like, because I was still holding the papers from my company, who will be nameless, and which if you really care, you can figure out where I work. But I was going to make a joke then, like, oh, well, should I get rid of these papers? Are they making me say I weigh 10 more pounds than I really am? But I decided against, and I'm glad I did, because I don't think doctors can riff. But that's a story for another time. I don't go to the doctor enough to really be able to validate that claim. It's just a general claim. I'm going to throw it out there, assume it's right, and just never touch it again. But yeah, so that's what's wrong with my foot. Luckily, this is a job. It's not even really a job. I don't get paid. This is a gig, free gig that I don't have to stand up to do. As I mentioned earlier, I'm not at a standing desk. I'm sitting in my chair. So it's not too bad to be able to put up with the pain of having a hole in your foot. But that brings me to my next point. Something of the sort, which is hikes are stupid.
Gotta have ketchup on my fries. Gotta have ketchup on my fries. When I have fries, I gotta have lots of ketchup.
Yes, you heard me right. I think hikes are stupid. Now, I'm not one of these people, okay, I'm going to come out and be like, yeah, I don't really understand getting a cool view. Why don't you just do it on the internet? Of course, there's no question that it's cooler to see something in real life than it is to see something on the internet. That's why I'm so embarrassed that I missed the Aurora Borealis that went on. I mean, probably when you're seeing this, it's probably been like 3 months since it happened, but for me, it was like a week ago that everyone woke up on Friday or Thursday or whatever going like, hey, I just saw the freaking Northern Lights, and I'm like, what? I would have loved to see that. And I slept through it, and people were posting pictures. I'm like, I don't give a shit about the pictures. I don't think it's stupid to post them. It's a cool thing to see, but I want to see the thing. I want to look out my window and see freaking what they saw on the Polar Express. I think it was the Polar Express. I don't know. Christmas Vacation. Anyway, so yes, obviously it's cool to see an overlook or just a cool mountainous view in real life than it is to see it on the phone. I'm not saying that it's stupid because you're doing the whole thing just so you can get a cool view? But every time I've gone on a hike, my experience has been me staring at my feet for the entirety of the journey. While we trek up or down or whatever throughout the woods, up this hill, up this mountain, I'm just looking down the entire time going, don't step on a rock, don't step on a rock, watch out, that could be a snake. What if that was a tarantula? Don't flip this rock over. Oh, you turned your ankle. And now you're like me anyway, and you have no use in your foot, your left foot. So that I don't know. I get tired easily, and I consider myself decently in shape. I played soccer. It's funny to say like, oh, I played soccer in high school. It's like, hey Harrison, that was 6 years ago, and you didn't play much in the actual games. So I wouldn't really say, well, I worked out once in 2018, as your example how you have good cardio. But I run around. You might notice that I'm kind of out of breath now. Unfortunately, I had to find a pair of sunglasses to put on for this segment, and I ran all around my house. Turns out they were just on my floor at my feet, so that's kind of embarrassing. But anyway, I can make it through the hike, but it's just like I'm just putting myself in this position of like stress and being unsuccessful. What's the word for that? You know when you turn a camera on and you film into it, and then you realize you don't actually know anything? Anyway. I'm setting myself up for failure, I guess. With these hikes where I'm just like, oh my God, I'm out of breath. I'm walking around, and for what? You know, I had a good point I was going to make, and I completely forget what it is. So bear with me while I think about it. I got it. Now, the problem... Hang on. Okay, I got it. The problem that I guess I say I have with hiking is it's just like, for what? To make yourself suffer. That's the word I was thinking of earlier. For what? You know, we live in a time where you don't have to suffer, so why are we doing it? I still kind of stand by that. Although, a good retort to that would be like, well, what about making a fire? What about camping? That's the same thing. Of course, you don't need to have a fire. You don't need to make a fire to eat food. You have an oven, you have a microwave, you have a air fryer. God, I'm an idiot. I can't think of these words when the camera's on. Or why do you go fishing? You know, no one needs to fish anymore. If you want to fish, go to the grocery store and buy a fish that's been murdered previously, and you don't have to worry about any of the muss or the fuss. I say, that's actually an excellent point. If you're trying to explain my hypocrisy of why I don't like hikes, and you can say, well, you like fishing, so what's the difference? I go, you know what? Touche. Maybe I just don't like hikes. I guess there's that too in this crazy world we live in. And you go, I don't like Spider-Man. You don't like Spider-Man, but he's from Queens and he's young and he's got powers and Tony Stark is helping him. And you go, that's great. Am I allowed to just not like him for no reason? There's plenty of celebrities like that. Oh, Ryan Gosling's not my cup of tea. Ryan Gosling, but he's Ken. You go, that's incredible. I like The Big Short. I like The Nice Guys. I actually like Ryan Gosling. I was just giving an example. But like, there's just stuff like, oh my God, I can't believe you don't like Dr. Pepper. Oh my, how can you not like Dr. Pepper? I don't know. I don't know why. I don't like olives. I don't like cilantro. At least that's the genetic reason, though. Like, I think it tastes like soap. But can't I just not like... I don't like hikes. You don't like hikes? But you get to run around in the woods for an hour. Or walk around. You don't even get to run. You get to walk in the woods and then get to the top of the precipice. And then finally, you're satisfied. You go, oh my God, this is the greatest overlook I've ever seen in my life. And your friends are there and they have their arms around you and they go, yep, we did it, man. And they go, okay, what's next? Where's the ski lift that's going to take us back down to the car? And they go, oh no, you know the hike that we just did to get here? We're going to do it again backwards. Oh, yippee! And you know when we get to you know how when we did the hike the first time and we got through the whole thing, we got up to this overlook? Well, when we do it again, there's going to be nothing. It's just the parking lot. Oh, good. Sorry. So that's my thing about hikes. I respect them. I respect people that do them. I will say this about hikes. One of their few pros, apologies, Freudian slip, if that's what that means. You never see an ugly girl on a hike. Let's just be honest, people. No uggos are going out of their way to, oh, I'm going to go walk through the woods. It's always like, and it's never like a hottie. It's like one of those secret babes from like, bear with me here. This is going to sound weird. But when you were in 6th grade and you had classmates that were also in 6th grade, everyone in this story is the same age. I'm not talking about me looking at a 6th grade girl. Anyway, when you were in 6th grade, and there was a 6th grade girl, and she wasn't a looker. You know, when you're starting to get into girls and you're like, oh, this girl, she's ugly. Then by senior year, you're like, oh my God, she's a freaking babe. She just, whatever happened in the last 5 years, I used to think this girl was ugly and couldn't run well and was always annoying. She's hot. But everyone remembers her as ugly, so no one's going after her. And then you go up to her and you're like, hey, do you want to get married? Because I just realized that you're a freaking babe. And then you guys live happily ever after or whatever. Those are the girls that go on hikes. It's like there's like one weird thing about them, but it's just perfect enough that you're like, this girl's beautiful. So that's a nice thing about hikes. I'll give you that. Another nice thing about hikes is, let me think. Oh yeah, nothing. That's all that comes to mind. I can give you 50 things I don't like about them, and I just did. So that, everybody, is why I think hikes are stupid. They don't make sense to me. And, at least while my foot's broken, I ain't going on one anytime soon. My last segment here before we get into an interview with my buddy Cole is just a real short story. I have car insurance. I have it through Progressive. I pay it off 6 months at a time. That way it's like $100 cheaper per month if I just do 6 months at once. Anyway, I started it in November. I don't always like telling you what date it is that I record these because I know it's going to be like 6 months before I actually upload this video. But today is May 14th and my insurance renews or it stops on the 15th, so I need to renew it. I need to pay for it, whatever, which I have no problem doing, but I'm lazy. That's my only problem is I'm like, I'll get around to it. I have a day to do it. Great. That's all I need. It only takes me 6 minutes to go on the computer and do. Anyway, so I got like 6 emails from Progressive being like, hey, you need to renew this. I'm like, I know. Believe me. It's illegal not to. I get it. So they sent me these emails, and then I work over the weekend. I don't know if I've ever said that in the show. Not that it's a secret or anything, but I work on the weekends. So Saturday, 6 a.m., I'm at work. Progressive calls me at like 9 in the morning like, well, I didn't answer. But I saw the voicemail he left. It's like, hey, Harrison, this is blah from Progressive. Please renew your subscription or your service or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, thank you. And then 2 more times throughout the day, they call me again saying the same thing. I'm like, I know. Please. And it's not like I'm missing out on payments. It'd be different if I was not paying my rent and I had my landlord knocking on the door going, Harrison, you need to pay your rent. I'm not ignoring that and going like, oh, please. Just wait until I get the money. Like, I already gave them the money that they need 6 months ago. They just want me to pay them another $600 or whatever the hell it is again. So they're just like, hey, buddy, come on. We need that money. Like, shut up. Leave me alone. You don't need to call me 6 times over the weekend while I'm at work. If I already, first of all, denied you the first time, I get it. You're calling me. This is not a pressing issue for me. I'm trying to work here. And you emailed me. I get it. And no, it's illegal to drive without car insurance, so please. I'm not going to That's like having a cop call me throughout the day and go, hey, don't rob that bank. I go, I know. I wasn't going to. Thank you. So that's it. Just a tiny little rant. Now let's get into the interview with my buddy Cole. Welcome, everybody. Episode 4. Today's guest is my oldest friend, Cole Fiore. Welcome, Cole, to the show.
Hey, I've only been waiting 4 episodes to get here, so about damn time.
And as I've mentioned before, this hasn't been over the span of 4 weeks. This episode is like 2 months into actually starting the show. But we're happy to have you, Mr. Cole, whatever your middle name is, Fiore.
That's for... Yeah.
So,
we'll let that be figured out later.
Okay, that's a secret.
We out later. Yeah, come on.
I've got plenty to go around.
Social Security.
Yeah, we will need that for tax purposes after the show. But I mentioned earlier in the solo portion of the episode my trip to the doctor, and I know you, sir, have had a lot of history with medical mishaps and all that, and I was wondering if you could go in with any stories about how your face is all busted and your neck doesn't work and all that. Because this is a laugh riot.
All right, well, I'll just go into the jaw thing because there's no answers for the other stuff, but the jaw, some good stuff there. So anyway, growing up,
Jaw rule.
I
Go ahead.
basically looked like a French bulldog, you know, upper jaw, receded back a good bit, lower jaw bigger, but it looked like, what's his name? I looked like a Monty Python bit character. It's awful. It's horrible. Couldn't eat right. Apparently I couldn't breathe. That makes sense. And I'd be doing up downs at football. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't breathe. What's going on? I'm like, oh no, that all makes sense. Well, anyway, so I finally, after 3 rounds of braces, was told, you know what? You're just going to cut your jaw out. Send me to a surgeon in somewhere in Pittsburgh. I'm not going into details as I'm terrified of this man. But I go, and in 3 long months, CAT scans every other week, this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. Told, no, nothing's going to go wrong here. We do this 2 or 3 times every day. It's normal. So I go into the OR. I don't remember.
Now, what was the actual... what were they doing? They were cutting your jaw open?
Yeah, they cut my upper jaw out and pulled it forward, and then they were playing around, cut the lower jaw on both sides, and just kind of trying to make it fit.
Make you look like
To
a
the upper jaw.
real-life person.
Yeah, and not some kind of, I don't know, Cousin Ed sloth type of
A circus
crossbreed.
freak. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So, go into the OR. I come out. I slept all night long. Might have been the greatest sleep of my life. About 24 hours of unconsciousness. But anyway, I wake up the next morning. And I get up. Now, you can imagine after a jaw surgery, your mouth is all like stretched out and weird, and you got this weird, creepy smile going on. So the first thing I said is, oh my God, I'm at a Pittsburgh hospital with a weird, creepy smile. I'm about to go Heath Ledger on this bitch. I'm like smiling like, oh, I'm the Joker. I'm still high as hell on opiates. I don't know what's going on in my head. But the next thing I noticed as I looked closer in the mirror, trying to understand my new face, my upper jaw was lined up with my left nostril, not, the center of my nose. So
Yeah, like
I'm
Tom
in there,
Cruise.
and I can't really talk to him. The nurse is like, I have no idea what you're saying, but okay. Like, So about 20 minutes pass, and one of the endless stream of students in this guy's practice comes in, and they're like, oh, that doesn't look right. I know what'll fix this. We'll put some rubber bands on your braces to move it. Now, even in my opiate-induced stupor, I go to myself, y'all used screws. This is my internal monologue. Y'all used screws to screw my face together. I know just from wood shop in 7th and 8th grade that you're not able to shift something that's screwed in at least 3 places with rubber bands of all things. But I'm high as a kite. I don't know how to tell him what the heck's going on here, so I let him do it. For the next 4 hours, this was 6 a.m. visitation at this hospital. It didn't start till 10. Trying to text my mom, but again, I'm out of it. Both my parents say something's not right here. Can't figure out how to make that into a sensible way of talking. And she comes in. She sees rubber bands on my face.
So even, like, visitation...
And then she sees it.
Your parents aren't allowed to come in till 10? Sorry.
Well, this is during COVID. This is during COVID times. That's how I justify saying, hey, this was not a cosmetic surgery. This was a necessary surgery because they let this happen in COVID.
Yeah.
It's the height of COVID, summer of 2020. And I'm in a hospital being told everybody's got to wear masks. I have to wear a mask whenever they wheel me out in the hallway, which I can't even express to you how painful that is. I just had my whole skull broken in like 2 places in my entire upper jaw, just sliced right out, played with it for God knows how long in the OR. But anyway, my face is shifted over to the left. There's rubber bands in my face because somehow rubber bands are going to shift screws all over my face. Doctor finally comes in. I don't know where this man has been. His people obviously told him something was wrong. He probably was off getting coffee, doing God knows what. as doctors do.
Mm-hmm.
So he comes in. He's like, well, that's not right. I don't know how that happened. It must have shifted. Again, I think screws don't move. I've built tree
Yeah,
stands. I've built other things. Like, screws don't move.
and not
They
that
stay still.
fast either.
No.
I mean, braces take like 3 years to fix your teeth. They're thinking like within the last 6 hours, my perfect job is completely screwed up.
Yeah.
Doesn't add up.
So my mom starts tearing him a new one. It gets so bad they allowed me to have 2 people during COVID in the room. My dad comes up and he's flipping out. Everybody's flipping
Yeah.
out. Doctors
You
trying to be
ruined
like,
my
oh,
boy. You
I don't know how
massacred
this
my boy.
happened. Yeah. Now the best part about this though, that they can't just take me back in the OR. They can't just put me back under. They can't fix all this there. So what am I going to do? Well, Cole, you're going to have to not eat anything for the next 6 weeks, which is also how long it takes for bones to completely heal.
Mm-hmm.
Should have been less, in my opinion. But 6 weeks go by. I'm not allowed to eat. I look like I look like a Looney Tunes character right now that got hit in the side of the head with a baseball bat, and they're just walking around like, curved head, like 6 weeks like that. So the 7th week comes in, and I'm wheeled back for COVID surgery number 2, and I get in there. I don't know what was going on. I remember being wheeled the whole way back into the OR this time. They did not do as well of a job on the anesthesia, which was fine because I was able to, in the moment, try and remember people's names. I was like, you're the bastard. You're the bastard. I'll fucking get you.
Yeah.
That didn't really work out, but started all over. Face is perfect now, but I went probably, I don't know, 4 months straight from all that without a single solid piece of food. You ever have blended spaghetti?
No. But I hear it's
No, you don't
wonderful.
want blended spaghetti, buddy. Oh, no,
Oh.
if wonderful you mean it comes up almost as fast as it goes down.
Oh, God.
That's pretty wonderful. Tastes better on the way back up, though, surprisingly.
I'm sure. That tomato
Blended
sauce.
spaghetti, not good. Blended hamburger. The only good thing was blended roast beef. I can't even drink a protein shake now. It just sends me right back to hell. But
Well, so, what the hell was I going to ask? So what'd they do to fix it? They reset the screws, or did they just, like, break your nose and go, now you look fine? I feel like that'd be easier.
so no, they had to cut everything out a second time. So I got, technically, my skull's been broken probably 4 times, technically, because they broke this and they broke that. But, they had to go back in, cut through all that scar tissue, leaving even more scar tissue.
Mm-hmm.
I can't feel. There's an entire chunk of my face right here. It's a good party trick, Like, hey, yo, somebody poke me with something here.
Yeah, stab me
Nothing.
in the face.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I'm up to your level, though, because, I mean, I get it sounds scary, like, oh, I had my face broken 4 times, and I stepped on a nail the other day and have a limp. So we really are kind of in the same boat.
I completely agree. The pain of a nail, I can't even imagine. We'll say
And
this.
I had a surgery where they just had to clean it.
Yeah.
Go on.
I mean, I'm sure that doctor was all like, "Oh, let me just stick my finger in this nail hole."
Yeah, how
Like,
far can this go in?
How big is it? Or like
Yeah.
he told me the I don't know, workers' comp lady said, if you spread it apart, is it about the size of a coin? Like, yeah, I'm just gonna spread apart an open wound on my foot without any sanitation.
Yeah, someone give me a coin.
Yeah. No, let me put a penny in there. That doesn't look like it.
What were you? Sorry about opioids. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, those are scary, man. I'm sitting on the couch, my parents' house, and I'm just sitting on the couch. And all of a sudden, my arms, I just start flapping. I have no idea what's going on. Something in my head told me I was a bird and I could fly. I'm like, I still can't talk. I'm like, oh my God, somebody help. I'm like flapping away. It's terrifying. So then I cut the opiates cold turkey, and that was a lot of fun pain. It's a good time.
Yeah. Did you ever try, street opiates? You ever get on smack just to see if you could keep that high going?
I mean, I will admit, I've played a lot of Skyrim. I've chased a lot of dragons, but that's not a dragon I want to go after.
Well, I respect it, Cole, but maybe when you grow up and you're a big man, you can be one of those old guys who's like, I've made it long enough. I'm going to try heroin. And that will get you on again to see the entire downfall of your life. Because that could
We'll
be
just
very
record
fun.
the whole thing. Just
Yeah.
stick a GoPro on me. Give me one of those backpacks with a GoPro camera attached. Just watch the descent.
Now that's a documentary.
There you go.
Sorry. What did I have here? So that's disgusting. And this is not a good segue at all. But yesterday you and I were talking, and I asked you a very, very important question that's been plaguing my mind for probably 4 years now, I think. It's a would you rather. And I'm hoping you've come to your conclusion. But for the audience at home, the question I proposed to Cole yesterday was, would you rather have the ability to know what anyone's penis looks like or anyone's breasts? And
Well,
Cole, I'll let you start.
after a long and very arduous deliberation, probably like the jury in New York with Trump's thing is thinking right now, I've decided I would rather know what any individual's penis looks like. Now, there are about 4 reasons why, and I'll get into
Please.
that. There may or may not be 4. Who knows? Could just keep going. Could turn into 8. But the first reason being,
You're a shower, not a grower.
well, if you really
All right,
hate a
flip
dude,
that
right?
up.
This dude's just pissed you off up, down, left, and right, and you just need another reason, like just feel like you're better than him. This could backfire on you, obviously. But like, all right, let's see how I measure up. Oh, you got a chode? Ha! Fuck you.
Yeah,
My
I
4
win.
inches is bigger, buddy.
Right.
And
Well,
then you just ultimate one up.
I didn't say my answer, but we agree. This is also my answer, which has caused many of fights between me and colleagues at work where I've asked this same question, and they're like, you want to know what any guy's wiener looks like? Isn't that a little gay? I'm like, it's not a sexual thing. I'm thinking exactly what you're thinking, which is like, what if you get in a fight with a guy and you go, this guy's a real asshole, and you can just go, wah, 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 and then go, okay, I lost that argument, but I lost the battle, but I won the war, kind of thing.
No, and you'll always know you got that one up on him. It'll just be
Yeah.
a great feeling. Now, it could backfire, though.
Of course.
Damn, this guy really is better than me. Like,
But at
growing
least
up,
with
I
that-
really hated Tom Brady. He's a Steelers fan. I
Yeah.
want to know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched that roast. They said it was pretty big, so it's like, damn it.
It must be.
Don't-
But
I have nothing on him.
I think even if it backfires, you can kind of go, yeah, well, that guy's an asshole, but he's got the genitals to back himself up. So I get it. I'll give this guy the win, and you can kind of go home happy either way. Like, I get it.
There we go. The second
I've-
of my...
Yeah,
Oh,
please.
I'm sorry, go.
No,
The
that
second of
was
my rationale, and if this needs cut, I understand.
circumcision.
No, there we go. I mean, hey, another one up on a guy. But the power to see anybody's tits is a power that could very easily be used for evil. Like Uncle Ben said, with great power comes great responsibility. And the ability to see any tits you want to see, I could see that getting out of hand pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, porn addiction's a real thing. Sex addiction's a real thing. Who's to say that X-ray vision's the thing? I know Superman can do it.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what Superman's really doing with it. It's a
Right.
scary power.
Yeah, how come they never
Long
made a movie
hands?
about that?
Again, think about what, I don't know. I'm not getting political. I was going to make a joke, but I don't alien anybody. I'm in the middle, but I still don't alien anybody.
Oh, we'll get into that too.
right.
Perfectly segues into my next point, which is with being able to see anyone's breasts. I feel like, well, first of all, that could lead to unwanted erections in public. Whereas, at least as a heterosexual male, seeing a man's penis in my head does not, give me any sort of feelings down there. You know what I mean? But if I'm just
Anything.
walking around seeing any lady's boobies, that might cross some wires and get me screwed up. And now all of a sudden I'm at my, parent-teacher conference with a hard-on. Not good.
I'm sure your life will love that.
And also, I feel like I think my biggest point here, and this is probably where I'm out of points, but you can go on because I'd like to hear it. Is if I really wanted to know what a woman's chest looks like, first of all, depending on what if they're wearing like a Billie Eilish big double XL crew neck, you're not really getting those thoughts anyway of like, I wonder what those look like. But if she's wearing like a revealing top, that's probably more where you're gonna get the idea like, what do those things look like? Luckily for you, they're already half shown. You already have that in your mind already of like, I think I've seen enough in my life, I can pretty much fill in the gaps of what I'm missing out on. Now, there's not many men walking around with their penises half exposed where you can paint that picture similarly. You know what I mean? Also, if you were so in love with a woman, or at least her looks, that you wanted to use your powers and see what she looks like undressed, you have a better chance of rizzing her up, not that I ever really use that word, and finding out what they look like in real life. You have a better luck of that than talking to a guy enough to be like, so pull that hog out. What are we working with here? It just gets rid of any social awkwardness.
Oh, yeah. Well, you might get slapped if you ask that question.
Yeah. Hey, you're a pretty funny guy. What's your phone number and what are we working with?
Yeah, what did you say? I don't know, like 6, 7 inches? I don't know. Come on. Let's go inch for inch here.
Yeah. You could just be like, you want to know what that lady's boobs look like? Show me your hog. Okay. Yeah. And now back to you, Cole. What are your other points?
I mean, some of these points are all controversial, but the one I always think of is with the third point. I think back to Afro Man in Colt 45 when he said she whipped out a dick that was bigger than mine.
Mm-hmm.
You can avoid a lot of embarrassing and frankly scary scenarios.
This is a good point. I never considered the trans angle.
Then you know.
So I guess we should say, to be politically correct, any person's penis. Because women,
yes,
as we know, men of science like you and I, a woman can have a penis.
Yeah, and hey, you do whatever you want to do with your life. I'm not going to judge you, but I don't want to bring. I'm not into that.
I don't want to bring a woman home and realize that my night was spent unwell.
Yes.
That's an excellent point, too. I never considered.
Great story to tell everybody, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a funny story, but you'd probably get in trouble for not realizing. You're not going, is that a little beard hair I'm seeing there? Like, what's going on? I don't know.
The Adam's apple's a little large.
Yeah.
And maybe you could go up and you could use it also as like a gambling technique. Like, hey, I bet $20 I can guess if any person in this bar is transgender. And no one wants to believe you, but you made an extra $20.
Hey, $20 is $20, right?
Exactly. So yeah.
It turns out it's just 3 points. I thought there'd be another one I'd come
Oh,
up
that's
with.
okay.
But it's just the 3.
I only had 3. We went perfectly back and forth. Now, of course, people at home, you tell us which side you would pick. Just because me and Cole both agree doesn't mean we don't see this other side of the argument. Although I think we explained ourselves well as to why what seems like an out-of-the-box answer is actually pretty rational. I remember the first time I asked this question, I think it was freshman year at college. I was working at FedEx in Harrisburg, and there was a new guy, and I was training him. And he asked me, would you rather, like a real crappy one, like, oh, would you rather be able to fly or be invisible? It's like, okay, let's move on from the cliche questions here. Let me get you one real quick. Would you rather know, like I said, what anyone's boobs or anyone's penis look like? And he goes, that's a little sus, don't you think? And I'm like I said to you in the beginning, I'm like, sexuality has nothing to do with my answer here. Now, if I were a gay man, secretly closeted, and I said, oh, I just really want to know what anyone's wiener looks like, oh, that'd be great. Okay, you might have a point. But if I'm explaining it scientifically with all my explanations, I think we explained ourselves quite well. And remain heterosexuals.
Hey, I'd love to see the counter arguments to that claim, though, because somebody will find a way to say, oh, you guys are gay. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and to be fair, I don't think it'd be very hard after what we said to at least claim that we're probably gay. But I'm pretty sure I'm not. You're in a loving relationship with a woman.
Yeah. I mean,
So that you have that going for you.
yeah,
Well,
it's a good deal. It's a good setup.
but that's it. That's the great would you rather. Everybody at home, you can not only can you comment your answers, but please, um, ask your friends, see what they say. It's a good discussion. This could go on for hours.
No, I mean, I think it's a good thing. Everybody should be represented. Even, I mean, we're talking about like, okay, probably shouldn't have an 80-year-old, but they need represented too because you'd take that away, and the next thing you know, like, oh, we've decided we're going to stop giving life-saving care to people over a certain age. Like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah, you get a bunch of 30-year-olds in
realistically,
there who don't really care about, like, well, I'm cutting out Social Security, which I get's probably ending anyway. But, like, I don't need Social Security. Why the hell am I voting for a bill that's going to cost me more money? It's like, well, because they're, whatever, 15% of the country is above 75. I just pulled that number out of my ass, but it's a significant amount of people that are above
yeah,
that age.
it's enough people that they need to have a voice for them in politics. So everybody should have a voice. I'm not saying, like, personally, I don't think we should be making decisions because, I mean, what? You graduated last year. I graduated just the other week. Like, we don't really know what's going on in the world. We know, oh, we're getting absolutely screwed by our, loans that we took out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's what we agreed to do.
I'm stuck in a
Oh,
rental loop for
Yeah,
another
no.
year.
Yeah, like, you got to rent. And, oh, by the way, millennials, Gen Z, have fun buying homes because those prices have inflated beyond control because megacorps are buying up all the houses
Yeah.
with
Good luck
cash.
buying a car.
So,
Yeah, normal
I mean,
car.
it's not fun for us. But
You know, in 1970, how like a brand new car was like $3,000. Well, for you, my friend,
that.
it's only $35,000. I'm go. Oh, that's good.
yeah, like, it's just crazy. I mean, inflation's gone up, and generally wages have not increased, and everything else's price is going up.
Yeah.
Not saying we need to do something drastic with wages, just something needs corrected.
Right.
And it's just scary because as we get further and further into this looming recession that we keep throwing back is going to turn into a depression, and then we'll all be pretty miserable for a while.
We'll be depressed.
Yes, we'll be depressed and broke.
But luckily, folks at home, there's a light at the end of the tunnel of depression, and that is week after week sitting down with a cup of coffee and grabbing a friend and making popcorn and watching episode after episode of the Harrison Brinker Show.
Because trust me, there will be episode after episode that you have not seen yet. Because this probably won't pick up. I hope somebody's watching this now going, wow, dude, this was all the way back in 2024? Like,
It'll be like
Just wait.
Saturday Night Live or 60 Minutes
Yeah.
where they go, I have no time to sit down and watch every episode. There's
This'll be the next binge.
50,000 episodes. That's what I don't understand about Joe Rogan. He comes out with 3 episodes a week that are like 4 hours long. I go, who the hell is sitting down? Is there anyone in the world watching every episode of Joe Rogan? If so, get a life, my friend.
all I know is I'm actually checking to see exactly how many I've watched. But I have watched, to date, whenever you're watching this, just know this is how many episodes were out of One Piece on the 15th of May in 2024. I have watched 1,089 episodes of One Piece.
What is One
You
Piece?
can watch.
Is it like a bathing
It's that
suit?
anime.
Oh.
It's that anime I watch. You'd always make fun of me back in the college days for watching anime, but it's good. It's good. I watch everything. I watch Game of Thrones. I watch football every week. I am a completely functioning member of society. I just watch anime too.
Except you watch anime. Well, to each their own, Cole. Not my cup of tea.
If I can watch that many episodes of One Piece, you better be watching every episode of this thing.
Yeah, sorry. When I talked about Joe Rogan, I'm not saying you shouldn't watch this show. Of course, don't watch Joe Rogan was my point. Watch us. We're fun.
You can watch both.
Oh, yeah, watch both.
We need. I mean, most people our age now need to have Subway Surfers running on the bottom and some little 30-second clip on the top. So instead of that, Joe Rogan on the top, us on the bottom.
And maybe by the end of this, there will be an episode where the worlds collide and Harrison Brinker's on the Joe Rogan Experience. Or Joe Rogan comes on this show.
Yeah.
No offense, Cole, but if Joe Rogan gives me a call, I might have to cancel our interview.
You cancel that interview, and then you get me an autographed Zin can from Joe Rogan.
Well, it's been a pleasure, Mr. Coley Woley. Anything
buddy.
to plug before you go?
Just thanks for having me on. Hopefully this can be a more regular thing. Not more regular. It's only the fourth episode. I'd consider this
That's
to
true.
be the beginning. But I hope this can be a regular appearance where I can just spew nonsense and
We go down the coal hole and hear what you have to say about
yeah,
politics.
not the troll hole, troll toll, whatever
Yeah.
Danny said during the musical. But we'll go down the coal hole.
Beautiful. I love No Hole more than I love Cole's Hole. And everybody, we'll see you all next week.